Transmissions detected.
Kill them all.
Release the plague, Jeffrey.
What's that?
Release the plague.
WHO has been assessing this outbreak around the clock, and we're deeply concerned both by the alarming levels of spread and severity and by the alarming levels of inaction. We have therefore made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic. The detection and rapid spread of a new clade of mpox in eastern DRC, its detection in neighboring countries that had not previously reported mpox, and the potential for further spread within Africa and beyond is very worrying.
You will find that it is you who are mistaken about a great many things.
Mr. Fauci, you were quoted on CBS Face the Nation saying it's easy to criticize, but they're really criticizing science because I represent science. Do you represent science, Mr. Fauci?
I am a scientist who uses the scientific method to gain information.
Yes, you said you represent science. Do you represent science, Mr. Fauci? Yes or no? Yes or no?
No, that's not a yes or no answer.
Yes, it's a yes or no.
I don't think it is.
Okay, well, we'll take that as a you don't know what you represent.
Hello, my friends. There are no boundaries anymore. There's nothing sacred, no hallowed ground, nothing untouched. Anything goes, no matter who it may harm or what it may harm. And most people don't even realize the magnitude of what all transpires while we're sleeping.
It's not crackpot to suggest this could have happened given the gain-of-function research we know was happening at Wuhan. These are all private statements, which you'll discover today differ greatly from their public statements.
There's always an alien battle cruiser or a Carillion death ray or an intergalactic plague that's about to wipe out life on this miserable little planet. The only way these people get on with their happy lives is they do not know about it.
In 2023, the U.S. Congress passed a law forbidding this gain-of-function research and its funding. Obviously, they were acknowledging that it was happening worldwide and it was a problem. But what no one failed to mention is these are the only people who possess the abilities to actually perform such a task in the first place, is gain of function. And let's not forget about their meetings and their agendas and how they told us exactly what the plan was all along. What, we just weren't listening?
Well, good morning, and welcome to the second day of the Global Vaccine Summit. Last night, we had a great celebration of all the progress we've made in the global effort. We are much closer today to achieving the goal of universal coverage. Today, we'll have experts sitting down and talking about what it takes to solve this problem. You'll hear some very exciting new commitments to this fight. You'll see new partnerships that are working together and solve the very tough problems that we have in the final stages. I think today will go down in the history of global health as a very important day, right up there with the time that UNICEF first committed to universal vaccination, right up there with the original creation of the Global Alliance for Vaccines. We have an incredible set of people here. I challenge all of us to use the time together to share our knowledge and insights challenge each other's ideas and assumptions, and use our combined understanding and energy to generate the new ideas and partnerships that'll achieve our goal. It's within our power to create a better future for children through the power of our collaboration.
I'm not listening to you. You're crazy.
Outbreaks are common throughout history. That's nothing new, don't get me wrong. However, it's a fact that they always come about when there was a war. Doctors said it was from uncleanliness, bodily fluids, and, well, just plain ignorance about handling of the dead and blood. Despite what we're led to believe, most deadly pathogens appear to be altered, or they've spontaneously received just what's needed to supercharge themselves, which goes against nature's law. The fact even says it all. If we did not have wars, 9 out of 10 outbreaks would never have happened. Weird, isn't it? Maybe suspicious? I don't know. Common viruses and bacteria have been here since our beginning and throughout all the epidemics that we witnessed. Smallpox virus was the deadliest. It came from directly having these wars. Every time. I mean, it was the worst disease in the 1770s for even the British. Listen to this. It's quite disgusting, one part of it, but listen to this official report here. When soldiers concentrated from all over the colonies in various parts of Europe, smallpox epidemics continuously broke out between 1775 and 1782. This proved to be more deadly than the British soldiers, for 3 out of 10 soldiers who contracted the virus died as a result. To curb the epidemic, Washington ordered that all his troops be inoculated in 1777. Okay, here we go. Fast forward at like 20 seconds if you don't want to hear this. The process of inoculation involved taking a scab that had fallen off a smallpox patient, rubbing it into a cut on a healthy patient's arm. The patient would get sick, but not as sick as contracting the virus naturally, and once they recovered, they'd be immune to the disease, no matter what type it was either. Isn't that disgusting? And only a psychopath would have thought to do that. By the 19th century, a vaccination had been discovered by giving patients cowpox, a similar virus found in animals that gave immunity to smallpox. God, through vaccinations, the smallpox virus has been considered eradicated since 1980. Monkeypox and smallpox are the same. It's just the less deadly strain is called the monkeypox.
The World Health Organization has declared a global public health emergency following an outbreak of a new strain of the Mpox virus in Africa. The virus, formerly known as monkeypox, can be passed on through close contact and causes flu-like symptoms and lesions on the body and can be deadly. It's now been detected in at least 13 African countries, but one country has been hit particularly hard, the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Now, listen to this 1918 Spanish flu pandemic. It says it infected over 500 million people, or 1/3 of the world's population, 33% of them. It caused over 50 million deaths worldwide. In the United States alone, the virus infected 1/4 of the population and killed 675,000 people. It lowered the life expectancy by 12 years of the entire world. The virus was faster and deadlier than previous strains, becoming a pandemic within weeks. And that is a trait of a weapon there, quickly spreading. Doctors noted that the virus was different from the normal seasonal flu symptoms of the 1918 flu. It says people were, sorry about this, drowning in their phlegm, spurting blood from their ears and noses, and turning blue or purple. People in the 20 to 40 age group were particularly affected. Scientists and historians believe that the people died either from the initial flu infection or from strong immune response to the virus. Yeah, crazy, right? Sounds familiar. Came back stronger, almost as if it had, gained a function. We know animals are used also to test the effectiveness of some of these weapons. They do it already before we've seen it ourselves. We've seen it chickens, cows, monkeys, they use it all. Dogs, cats. However, they've been next to humans for a very, very long time. Why all of a sudden would everyone get sick off of chickens or cows or monkeys, you know? I mean, the monkeys, the chickens, the cows, they got it from somewhere. But when they brought it back, it killed everybody who came in contact with them. I've said this once before. How is that possible that hasn't already happened? Like, if they're claiming we've been here for millions of years, how are they finding something new? There's nothing new here. And it just seems odd, right? One day it happens, but it's the explanation that we're given. We're not given a good scientific explanation. We're just given well, it just happened one day.
But this, as director of the NIH, you did sign off on these so-called scientific experiments. And as a dog lover, I want to tell you this is disgusting and evil, what you signed off on, and these experiments that happened to beagles paid for by the American taxpayer. And I want you to know Americans don't pay their taxes for animals to be tortured like this. So the type of science that you are representing, Mr. Fauci, is abhorrent, and it needs to stop.
Now, in the last 25 years, astronomical amounts of money have been, for whatever reason, spent on future outbreak readiness. They just knew it was going to happen. I guess because it happens every 100 years or so, maybe, I don't know. Starting in 2005, right around 04, 05, they were given billions of dollars of taxpayer money to various agencies like the NIH, where Fauci's over, private labs, and they wanted to study outbreaks, pandemics, and pathogens that cause them. Well, you have to have the pathogen, right? You got to have. Extra money was allocated so the people in charge could be prepared to start proper steps in building their infrastructure, so to speak, to deal with these pandemics. Now remember, the reason that we didn't have a lot of the facilities at the time was, well, as a species, human beings had all but eradicated most diseases, y'all. I mean, we had been around one another so long, once again, and medicine had come so far, it was very rare for an outbreak to occur, and if it did, it was mostly easily treated with antibiotics.
Dr. Ken Alibek is a former first deputy director of the Soviet offensive bioweapons program. He moved to this country in 1992, and he now heads George Mason's University Center for Biodefense. While he was a Soviet scientist, he and his comrades had worked to make a bulletproof version of Yersinia pestis.
And I would say by mid-80s, they were able to develop a plague with resistance to many different antibiotics.
Now, it makes me wonder what really went on when the army started conquering, the natives of every continent. You notice how all the natives had just abundant gold and, rich land, everything they needed. But they all just got sick and died. Now, the governments and all the conquistadors, everyone was all innocent. They did nothing wrong. That's what they tell us. But yes, they did take all their stuff, but, just a coincidence. It's weird, in some areas, they were like giving everyone medicine to, quote, save the natives' lives. I mean, which one is it? I refuse to accept all that nonsense as truth. It just seems shady, And, I don't know, being sick to me just seems unnatural. And I don't understand why they don't handle the most important things first, and why we even pay these clowns anyway. Here's something totally different. Charles Pfizer, who founded the medicinal company Pfizer in 1849, he did that in Brooklyn, and he was from none other than Germany. Can't make it up. In 1868, Pfizer got its boost because its revenue doubled overnight because of the Civil War. Yeah, war's money. Every part of it still is. The people involved in supplying whatever it may be, from bullets to boots, they make money, but only when the demand is there. During the off time, it's said to be almost a 700% difference in profits of all these war-making machines. I wonder what follow the money, right?
We are getting increasing ability to manipulate organisms and indeed life, and that is going to translate into a bioeconomy.
But let's also talk a little bit further about the type of science that you represent. NIH scientists made $710 million in royalties from drug makers, a fact that's been hidden. Let's talk about the fact about, is it right for scientists and doctors getting paid by the American people, government taxpayer paychecks, to get patents where they're paid millions and hundreds of millions of dollars in royalty fees, especially when the NIH and these government agencies, most powerful agencies in our country, are recommending medical suggestions and advice and making up guidelines like 6 feet distancing and masking of children. Do you think that's appropriate? Do the American people deserve to be abused like that, Mr. Fauci? Because you're not doctor, you're Mr. Fauci in my few minutes.
And we know they genetically modified like everything, including like insects and bugs. I mean, mosquitoes. They were genetically modified. And, well, when we had an outbreak of West Nile virus, nobody seemed to remember to blame the people performing gain-of-function research or DNA altering of these, insects. That the media never announced to the world that someone's messing with the DNA of everything, and including insects. That just seems to me that you would inadvertently cause a very big problem. To top this off, man-made viruses and plagues, even their little super mosquitoes and anything that they make and manufacture, has an actual patent. It's listed as weaponry, and it's like, I don't know, to me, it's like a documentation for the future, just to show off, to show them how stupid we really were. I mean, I don't know. It's like a monument, just we're going to keep this just to prove how ignorant they were. I mean, there's things in nature today that have been so altered by modern man that, well, they're not what they used to be, and they could wipe out life on this entire earth, every animal, bird, and fish. And I don't understand who thought this was okay to do, and who even okayed it, right?
Did COVID-19 originate in a lab? To answer this question, let's revisit the early days of the pandemic and examine what some of Dr. Anthony Fauci's inner circle said privately about the origins of the virus. Discussions that were only revealed through FOIA litigation. Christian Anderson wrote, "The lab escape version of this is so friggin' likely to have happened because they were already doing this type of work, and the molecular data is fully consistent with that scenario." Ian Lipkin stressed the nightmare of circumstantial evidence to assess regarding the possibility of inadvertent release, given the scale of bat coronavirus research pursued in Wuhan.
Bat. What? Bat.
And I'll give you an example of how these idiots don't give a damn. At any given time, they could set off a global event, and all you would have to do is have an accident with just some random crap they have in a warehouse that's like ancient of days. According to an international report in 2018, not long ago, a bioweapon called Rinderpest, and I'm sure it was made in Germany too. Like, we got the mad scientists, It is kept by 40 countries worldwide. Rinderpest, for those of you that don't know, is a cattle plague. Its mortality rate is about 100% in both cattle, buffalo, anything that herds. And it was documented 1,600 years ago. But it was eradicated as of 2011. We knew it was, and we knew that we would never see it again. Unless, of course, the disease samples that they kept were to escape from one of their laboratories they have. And it's amazing what was openly stated by so many people before things went south. It makes you wonder, as in the days of Noah, what exactly happened when everything started going crazy? I mean, we think it's so high tech, but it's really simple. A biological weapon is just a earthly virus or a bacteria whose DNA has been manipulated, or it's gained a function that it did not have naturally, or it lost one. And why as a species with nowhere else to go would we, like humans, why would we allow this? Why would we let it be done? Or, I don't know, how does anyone in their right mind, especially the people who consider themselves smart, even can imagine or dream this is okay to do? Altering the gene's genetic sequence of something common and producing hyper versions of it, especially a disease, is diabolical. That's not science, that's insanity. That's the psychopath behavior. It's like some Dr. Evil shit. I mean, there must be something that we're not being told. There is no way this would be allowed by anyone higher up, the people with money. They are pansies and cowards, scared of their own shadows. But it's almost like everyone's in the know except the peasants. Like the elite and the powerful have this nonchalant attitude, do as you will and worship Satan, right? Openly. It's like they've given up on humanity in our faces, as if there's not a lot of time left and they're choosing sides, maybe like the game's over soon or something. To prove another point, several hundred clinical trials are being conducted on viruses, pathogens, everything, as I speak, not counting what's done in secrecy. So, at any given time, there's no telling what's going on. Now, the ones gaining financially, right, they figured out that there's more money in it for everyone if you keep the cycle going indefinitely. And we should know, the cause and cure comes from the same source. It appears to. In 2008, Obama deployed troops to assist in the Congo to deal with the monkeypox, I guess it outbroke maybe 2 or 3 times. Outbreak. They went to help them build some hospitals and, give them some vaccines and pop some meds in them, That issue, in a nutshell, was supposed to be squashed. If not, someone was dead wrong. Because it's very suspicious when you check it. When it was over, every single year afterwards, leading up to 2018, right at the end of 2018 there, 2019, right before COVID, the people in charge began to use fear tactics about monkeypox. Suddenly, we needed more money to the Congo. Outwardly, they were saying this. But if something happens, we're all screwed. They wanted everyone to freak out. They said, get prepared for the big one. You ever hear them tell you the name of these outbreaks, by the way? They're called fakes. PHAICS, and don't take my word for it. Like totally fake, in your face. Listen to this.
How much of a difference do you think it'll make that the WHO has now declared the Mpox outbreak to be a global public health emergency?
Oh, it should make a great difference. Normally these fakes, as we call them, PHEICs, tend to be announced when you want to release more funding and more resources to those particular epidemics or pandemic situations. And this should hopefully allow this release of funding and resources in those African countries. Though, of course, they are already quite strained, resource limited in many other ways.
That's pretty straight up, isn't it? You can't make this up. I could just see God saying what you didn't know and then playing all this stuff for everyone and saying, if you looked it up, it's called fake. Whatever. In 2007 and again in 2008, the military and its allies conducted 5 emergency exercises. Now, see, not only were they over in the Congo, you see what they were doing? They did these exercises to see what would be the outcome of a nationwide or even worldwide epidemic or pandemic event. Going on the same time as this biological exercises or operations were going on, they did that Operation Robin Sage. The one, right? Where they tested what happens during a civil war? Yeah. These together gave them valuable data on everything at once. And from around 2014 to 2019, billionaires with medical facilities and, manufacturing abilities, anything on hand for medicines, put up billions to compete for contracts. For instance, Agenda 21, remember that? Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation gave tens of millions of dollars to the preparedness and research and development on monkeypox in the Congo. Yeah, come on, vaccines, working on them, along with other wealthy elites who own businesses who would be directly impacted if ever there was a pandemic. And they even held clinical trials of all sorts. They call them out in Uganda and other places, like in Africa, openly telling you exactly what they did. We should know by now they're all in on it because they didn't spend that much money out of the goodness of their heart to just help these people out. No, it was to get back profit. Remember, these are the same people that said, you'll eat bugs and, the reset and all the crap they just came right out and said. Well, the wheels were spinning a long time ago in our faces. The governments of the world and the non-elected officials, they just realized that, we need to prepare for the future. We can only assume the same people responsible for what happened in all this time, every time, and in 2020 and what's happening now, are who caused it every time in the past. Because it was their agenda. They told us they were going to do it.
President Obama has ordered 3,000 American troops to West Africa to build 17 100-bed treatment centers and a site capable of training 500 healthcare workers a week. The U.S. response is worth an estimated $750 million over the next 6 months. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has alone donated $60 million, and the foundation of Paul Allen, Gates' co-founder of Microsoft, has given nearly $12 million. The American-led international response may come just in time, as infection levels were spiking exponentially in the middle of September. If no help had come, some experts were fearing the disease could have overwhelmed the region and spread until it exhausted its host population.
Health workers had access to a new vaccine, and it was used to immunize more than 300,000 Congolese. But the spread of misinformation caused major setbacks. Some churches spread falsehoods about Ebola, saying, for example, that it could be cured with holy water. Meanwhile, other rumors, including one that Ebola didn't exist, and another that it was a plot to control the population, went viral on social media platforms. The result was deep mistrust of the Ebola response. Many patients refused to share information with medical workers attempting to track and monitor their contacts.
This outbreak started in the eastern DRC in August, just a week after authorities declared the end of another epidemic in the West. That outbreak killed 33 people. This one has killed more than 500.
Clearly, we can't become complacent. We understand very well that we still have a lot to do to stabilize and bring the situation under control. The greatest risk, which is related to insecurity, continues to be a factor.
And for those at the WHO and other, I guess what I call them, non-elected officials, just nobodies, just some rich men, when they speak out and talk this virtuous nonsense all the time, and don't let me just say men and women. I mean, I've seen women that are just as freaking psychotic, and they have no shame. Nobody does. I don't even know how they get this out of their mouth, outwardly calling for resets and global this and that, and keeping a straight face about it. Ultimately, only a steady supply of money is what they need. Money to study and prepare for all the things that don't exist until they make it. Insanity. I mean, how did we get so ignorant of our surroundings? And these people literally have no job. If you just understand the fundamental basics of all this, right? These people would have no job if we had not gave them the money. Our tax dollars give them a career. Even though their career consists of taking life, it's just what they do. They get around some wicked men and women and people who are, underhanded and greedy. Look at Dr. Fauci, just an example. He can't imagine one single thing that he did wrong. He's a saint. I mean, he's a hero in his own mind. And think for a second here. When the police catch a killer, a detective, what does he do to find them? He checks to see if anyone has a motive for anything that went on, right? Do you have a motive for killing them? If money is involved, he will immediately follow it to his source. Case closed. I mean, most crimes are solved this way. It's a fact. The people supposed to protect us, they're playing stupid because they all know who's at fault. And gain of function was called out once again. Like I said, they just passed a law, but when they got caught in 2023 and 2024 lately, being all high and mighty, or entitled is what you call it, entitled, we found that they had performed experimentation on innocent animals and dogs, and they still do it, cruelty beyond all imagination. Did anyone go to prison? Nope. Did anyone, did PETA show up? Nope.
Once people feel empowered and protected legally, you are going to have schools, universities, and colleges are going to say, you want to come to this college, buddy? You're going to get vaccinated. Lady, you're going to get vaccinated. Yeah. Big corporations like Amazon and Facebook and all of those others are going to say, you want to work for us, you get vaccinated. And it's been proven that when you make it difficult for people in their lives, they lose their ideological bullshit and they get vaccinated.
Use your aggressive feelings, boy. Let the hate flow through you.
Are all objections to COVID vaccinations ideological bullshit, Dr. Fauci?
No, they're not, and
Thank
that's
you.
not what I was referring to.
Well,
Alrighty then.
Bob Gary said, I really can't think of a plausible natural scenario where you get from the bat virus or one very similar to it to COVID-19, where you insert exactly 4 amino acids, 12 nucleotides, and all have to be added at the exact same time to gain this function. I just can't figure out how this gets accomplished in nature.
Special 2 plums for 1.
Even Ralph Barrick, world-famous gain-of-function researcher and collaborator with Wuhan's Dr. Shi, admitted, so they, the Wuhan Institute of Virology, have a very large collection of viruses in their laboratory. And so it's, proximity is a problem. It's a problem. Federal court orders reveal that even Dr. Fauci himself privately acknowledged concerns about gain-of-function research in Wuhan and mutations in the virus that suggest it might have been engineered, just days before he commissioned the proximal origin paper. Despite these private doubts, publicly these so-called experts and their allies were dismissing the lab leak theory as a conspiracy. Within days, Anderson, Lipkin, and Gary were putting final touches on what would be remembered as one of the most remarkable reversals in modern history. In their proximal origin paper, these scientists concluded, we do not believe that any type of laboratory-based scenario is plausible. Privately, they were saying one thing. Publicly, they were saying another. Media pundits parroted the narrative while social media platforms censored discussion about the lab leak, labeling it as misinformation and stifling open discourse about the virus's origins. The cover-up went beyond public statements. Federal agencies and key officials withheld and continue to conceal crucial information from both Congress and the public. For instance, Dr. David Morenz of the NIH deleted emails that could have contained valuable insights into early discussions. When he deleted them, he made the comment, I think we're safe now. He deleted emails. He said, the early emails I've deleted to Peter Daszak at EcoHealth, I think we're safe now.
Do me this one last solid. Clear my internet browser history.
The ODNI failed to comply with a law that was passed unanimously. One of the senators on this committee got it passed. We were going to declassify all this and revealed it, and the administration has refused. HHS and NIH have not produced documents related to the gain-of-function research that the chairman and I requested nearly a year ago. I've been asking for 2 or 3 years as an individual member with some other Republican members and have not gotten these records. I've now asked with the Democrat chairman over a year, and they're still resisting. They say it's not gain-of-function. Well, let's hear the debate. Did they debate at NIH whether it was gain-of-function in Wuhan? If there's a debate, let's hear the scientific arguments on both sides. They will not give us that information. This has been a deliberate, prolonged effort to deceive the committee about certain gain-of-function research experiments that the agencies have been withholding. What we have found as we've gone through this is that at every step there's been resistance. So the hearing today is to try to find out whether or not we can get to the truth. Do we know for certain it came from the lab? No, but there's a preponderance of evidence indicating that it may have come from the lab. Do we know viruses have come from animals in the past? Yes, they've come from animals in the past. But this time there's no animal reservoir. There's no animal handlers with antibiotics. There's a lot of reasons why there are indications that this could well have come from the lab.
The U.S. Congress Representative Jason Crow, member of the House Intelligence Committee, claimed that his country has made biological weapons that target human DNA. Crow, representative by the state of Colorado and former military serving in Iraq and Afghanistan, clearly said that many of these weapons have already been developed. He recalled that although medical information is private, there are companies that acquire it and sell it. Speaking alongside Pentagon representatives, Crow said that protection of commercial data in the United States has degraded alarmingly in the last 20 years.
Yeah, so to be clear, I think one of the things we're talking about here is that there are now weapons under development and developed that are designed to target specific people. Right, that's what this is, where you can actually take someone's DNA, take their medical profile, and you can target a biological weapon that will kill that person.
I want our health officials to quit telling me these things are natural and insinuating that God would release the plagues upon us. Like the clip I showed in the beginning, I did that just to, show out how silly and unbelievable that is, just to look at one of the angels release the plague, right? What God would do that? Not mine. I mean, this stuff is man-made. Most things that harm us are, self-inflicted. We do it to ourselves. And, well, that's what the science and research says to me if they had left it alone. And I followed the money, and they're all in on it from A to Z. If not, I'll just tell you this. In the future, innocent people are literally going to be blamed for it. Because, let's go with what they're saying. They're being framed, I guess. That's what they're going to say. Take that how you want. It just seems to me that they're saying, we're being framed, because in the future, they're going to totally blame you for it. So you better fix it now. Yeah. And when we speak out together on social media and we let them know that we're hip to their little magic tricks and their agendas, boy, that pisses them off so bad. Man, they cannot stand it. They get so mad about it. Look at how they silence misinformation. Like in places like Europe. If they could do it in America, they would totally do it. Like arresting people for posting about the government. Oh my God, they would totally do it. They just can't. And let me just say to the government of Great Britain throwing out all those threats, it's so funny talking about, we'll extradite you. It's so funny. The only way you can do that, by the way, is if your country has the same law, right? So anyway, but Great Britain is the original OGs of the clown show. What are they doing? Everybody knows this, and it's sad to watch you destroy yourselves. What little respect you've got left, I'm just saying, right? Anyway, I love all my friends from Great Britain, but just as our government, yours is out there somewhere. Maybe in the future, just to avoid what we've been subjected to lately. Perhaps future, take care not to let the crazy people drive. Don't give them the keys to the house, for God's sakes. It's like Groundhog Day with all this crap in it. Just every day, it's just something else. We're going to need a miracle. I know that one. That's what I needed to say. My love to you all. I'm Wild Dog, and I am out of here.
Soldiers will take you to a testing facility, and you will know the results within a few hours. Early stages resemble the flu, coughing, and high fever. Anyone showing these signs should report them immediately. Doctors have the situation well in hand and are working day and night to find a cure.
Sorry.